Hey everyone, Michael Bodner here with another Tesla Tunity, and today we're gonna compare these two cars. So you've got my rear-wheel drive first production Model 3. The VIN is under 6,000, and then over here we have my wife's dual motor Model 3. Her VIN is over 101,000. So the cars are about 7 months apart in age. There's about 95,000 cars produced between the two of them. So unlike traditional manufacturers, Tesla makes changes on a daily basis to improve the vehicles. And I want to show you what's changed over 7 months and 95,000 cars. So come along with me and check it out. All right, so we're going to start in the trunk, and the first thing you'll notice on the higher VIN vehicles, the newer vehicles, is right here. This is called the garnish. Now, my car did not come with the garnish, but you will notice it in the video. So I'll throw in some pictures of what it looked like before I had that added afterwards. The lower VINs had kind of an exposed raw metal instead of the garnish. And you can get that through Tesla service. I believe it's about $30 for the part. Highly recommended so you don't cut up your hands, luggage, anything else you put in the trunk. Really important to go ahead and add that to your trunk to kind of finish things off. 2-second install. Tesla service can do it for you. You could easily do it yourself. Additionally, you'll notice in my vehicle, but not in my wife's vehicle, there is kind of a white foam kind of vibration dampening material up there in the opening that goes to the rear deck of the car. The newer VIN vehicles do not appear to have that. All right, so the first thing I'd like to start out with is the seats. So we'll start with the bottom of the seat first. Yes, of course, my wife does have white seats, but that in and of itself is a change. When my car was ordered and delivered back in February of 2018, white interior was not an option, and obviously now it is, so my wife went ahead and jumped on it right away. In addition to that, Tesla has changed the size of these three components on the bottom seat. In addition, they've also changed the stitching pattern up here at the front of the seat. And then we'll go ahead and move the camera to the seat back. You'll notice that they've changed the stitching as well. So primarily we'll look for where this area comes into play on the seats between the two cars. I will say the white seats or newer seats in general definitely feel a little more comfortable. Not that I'm complaining about my seats at all, but like I said, these seats are definitely more comfortable. All right, so taking a look here at the rear seats, first starting with the newer Model 3, the higher VIN. Go ahead and throw in a tape measure here. At first glance, the seats in the back look generally the same, but what I'm going to do here is measure just up to from the base of the floor to the stitching here. You'll notice, it might be hard to see again in the video, but it's about 11 inches. So what they've done is actually raise up the seats about 2 inches. It doesn't sound like a lot, but what that does is it improves comfort for the rear passenger. Your knees are not kind of so high up in the air. Obviously, it cuts down on headroom probably by about 2 inches, the same. But it's a good trade-off for the rear seat passenger. As you can see in my car, not a big deal. We actually have car seats in the back seat for two small children. So no one's really in the back seat full size, hardly ever. But again, another small improvement there. All right, now let's go ahead and jump inside the car. We'll take a look at the steering wheel, and you'll think, what could they have possibly changed with the steering wheel? But let's go ahead and get in for a closer look, and you'll actually notice that the T logo is now a matte finish. It was a chrome finish in my car, and in my wife's newer car, it's now matte finish. Now, moving just behind the steering wheel, this one might be tough to see, so I'll describe it in case you don't see it on the video here. But actually, if you look really closely, you'll see this little piece of aluminum carries all the way across, whereas in my car, and not just because it's black interior, but it is the result of a lower VIN and a change they did make, this will actually stop and then pick back up again at the end of the steering column. All right, next up, let's talk about the headliners. So here we are in my wife's car. You'll notice that this is what Tesla calls a premium fabric, but it is not Alcantara. For those of you who've heard about the Alcantara fabric headliner, That was limited to about the first 2,500 Tesla Model 3s sold, so neither of us have this, but there still is a difference. Here we are in my wife's car, and you'll notice that there is no Alcantara flap here for the mirror. But, you know, as you can see in my car, this is actually an Alcantara piece of fabric. So at some point down the road, Tesla decided to stop doing Alcantara altogether in the headliner, and the only remaining Alcantara is in the black interior cars in the door pocket area. All right, well, I hate to do this to two perfectly clean cars, but it's time to show off that Tesla glass and see what's changed there. All right, so what you can see here on the higher VIN is just a pretty normal looking back window. As we come over here to the sunroof, you can see a pretty cool orange, red, purple light effect from the UV coating on the sunroof glass. But what you're also noticing on the lower VIN, the original Model 3, if you will, there's a full coat of the UV protection all the way down the back window as well as the sunroof glass. So this is the big change. A lot of people talking about this one. At some point in time, there was another change where this top portion of the rear window was coated, but not the rear section. So one thing I will note is that my car has tinted windows. It does help kind of showcase it a little bit better, but there you have it. That is the Tesla glass comparison. All right, well, just when you think you've seen all the changes to the car, and you have, there's still one more. So let's go ahead and take a look at the key. So here we are in my wife's, again, the newer car. And you'll notice that the key has a bit of an illustration to make it a little more obvious as to what you're supposed to do with this thing. Also, just while I have you here, if you've been looking for a solution for valet parking, you're afraid of leaving the key alone, I'll have a link in the description down below, but this product works great. It's a hard plastic, so the key is pretty rigid, can't break, and you could definitely go ahead and check it out. But that's about it, everyone. So that's all the differences. That is 96,000 worth of cars and changes. All right, so there you have it, everyone. That's a look at our two Model 3s, 96,000 VINs apart. A couple of small differences, a couple of nice improvements that my wife's been able to benefit from. More early adopters like myself sharing feedback, and you can see the improvements. So there's never a better time than right now to get a Tesla. If you're waiting for that next change, you know, there's always going to be another change. So my best advice to you is if you're happy with what you see, go ahead and order. If you want to wait, of course, by all means, go ahead and wait. But there's always going to be a slight change or a slight improvement coming down the road. So hope you enjoyed this one, found it helpful, and we'll catch you on the next one, everyone. Bye.